There comes a moment when life stops shouting and starts whispering. The noise fades, the distractions lose power, and something ancient inside us wakes up. Not with comfort, but with responsibility. Not with pleasure, but with discipline. If this is happening to you, you're not becoming special. You're becoming accountable. What many call a spiritual awakening, the ancient philosophers described as a return to alignment, with reason, with nature, with truth. Let us walk this path together. Sign 1. You become uncomfortable with noise, yet at peace with silence. One of the earliest and most misunderstood signs of inner awakening is this. The world begins to feel loud, but silence begins to feel honest. What once entertained you now drains you. What once distracted you now irritates you. And what once felt empty, being alone with your thoughts, starts to feel like home. This shift is not arrogance, and it is not isolation. It is refinement. We begin to notice that constant stimulation weakens us. Endless conversations, shallow humor, drama disguised as connection, all of it pulls us away from ourselves. A disciplined mind can no longer tolerate constant noise, not because it is superior, but because it has tasted clarity. Marcus Aurelius warned that a man who cannot endure silence will never hear reason. And reason, to the ancient thinkers, was not cold logic. It was alignment with nature, with truth, with what is essential. When silence starts calling us back, it is because our inner order is demanding attention. At this stage, we don't hate people. We simply stop feeding on chaos. We stop needing to be seen. We stop explaining ourselves unnecessarily. We learn, as Epictetus taught, that peace does not come from controlling the world, but from disciplining our responses to it. This is why solitude becomes medicine instead of punishment. In silence, we confront ourselves without filters. Our excuses dissolve. Our emotional habits become visible. Anger, envy, resentment. These emotions lose their hiding places. And instead of running from them, we begin to observe them, calmly, firmly, without judgment. This is not weakness. This is strength under construction. Seneca wrote that a man must retreat into himself daily, or he will lose himself entirely. When silence starts to feel necessary rather than optional, it is because the soul is demanding clarity over comfort. We begin to choose fewer words, deeper conversations, stronger boundaries. We stop reacting instantly and start responding deliberately. And with this restraint comes a quiet authority, one that does not announce itself, yet cannot be ignored. This stage often feels lonely because growth rarely comes with applause. But remember, the mind that can sit in silence without needing distraction has already stepped beyond the reach of manipulation. If this is happening to you, do not fight it. Do not numb it. Do not rush to fill the quiet. Silence is not empty. It is where discipline sharpens. It is where self-control is forged. It is where the awakened mind learns to stand unshaken. And once we master silence, the noise of the world can no longer command us. Sign 2. You stop reacting emotionally and start observing yourself in real time. The second sign is subtle, unsettling, and profoundly powerful. You begin to notice your emotions before they control you. Where others explode, you pause. Where others panic, you watch. Where others react, you choose. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional mastery in its earliest form. At first, this change feels strange. You still feel anger, jealousy, disappointment, desire, but something is different. There is now a small distance between the emotion and the action, a gap. And inside that gap lives freedom. Epictetus taught that people are not disturbed by events, but by the judgments they form about those events. When this lesson begins to move from theory into lived experience, we stop being prisoners of our first impulse. We start catching ourselves mid-reaction. We notice the tightening in the chest before anger speaks. We notice the insecurity before it demands validation. We notice the urge to defend the ego before it grabs the microphone. This is the moment awareness turns inward. Instead of asking, why did they do this to me? We begin asking, why am I reacting this way? That question alone separates the awakened from the unconscious. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about standing guard over the mind, as if it were a city under constant siege. When we begin observing ourselves in real time, we are no longer asleep at the gates. We are watching thoughts enter. We are questioning impulses. We are deciding which emotions deserve our energy and which do not. This self-observation dismantles destructive emotions at their root. Anger loses its speed. Envy loses its justification. Fear loses its authority. Not because life becomes easy, but because the mind becomes disciplined. And here is the difficult truth. Once this awareness begins, you can no longer blame others for your inner state. That responsibility can feel heavy, but it is also empowering. We stop saying, "They made me angry," and start saying, "I allowed anger to take control." That shift is not self-criticism, it is self-command. Seneca described this as the beginning of freedom, when a person becomes accountable for their inner life instead of outsourcing it to circumstances. This is why many people resist this stage. It removes excuses, it removes emotional comfort, it demands honesty, but it also gives something rare: composure under pressure. When we stop being ruled by reflexive emotion, we gain a calm presence that unsettles others, not because we dominate, but because we are not easily shaken. We listen more, we speak less, and when we do speak, our words carry weight. If you are experiencing this, if you are catching yourself before emotional damage is done, understand this. You are not becoming cold, you are becoming grounded. You are learning the ancient skill of ruling the inner world so the outer world can no longer rule you. And once that mastery begins, there is no returning to emotional chaos. Only forward, into discipline, clarity, and unshakable self-control. Sign 3. You feel increasingly isolated, but not lonely. The third sign is one most people misunderstand. It doesn't feel like enlightenment, it feels like distance. You begin to feel less emotionally aligned with the world around you. Conversations that once entertained you now feel shallow. Crowds drain you, noise irritates you, drama exhausts you, and without consciously deciding it, you start walking a quieter path. This is not arrogance, it is not superiority, and it is not rejection of others. It is alignment with yourself. Many mistake this phase for loneliness, but it is not the absence of people that creates loneliness. It is the absence of meaning. And as your inner standards rise, meaningless interaction becomes unbearable. Marcus Aurelius warned that most people live as if they were sleepwalking, reacting, desiring, fearing without reflection. When awareness sharpens, it becomes difficult to pretend. You can no longer laugh at what contradicts your values or invest energy in what weakens your character. So you withdraw, not physically but internally. You listen more than you speak. You observe more than you participate. You conserve energy instead of dispersing it. This withdrawal is often misunderstood by others. Some will say you've changed. Others will accuse you of being distant or cold. But in truth, you have simply stopped leaking your attention into places that do not nourish your mind. Seneca wrote that constant social exposure weakens the soul because it pulls us toward imitation instead of integrity. When this realization hits, solitude becomes medicine rather than punishment. And here is the paradox. As isolation increases, inner stability deepens. You are no longer dependent on external stimulation to feel alive. Silence no longer scares you. Being alone no longer threatens you. In fact, it becomes the place where clarity forms. This is why spiritually awakening individuals often go through a period of quiet detachment. The mind needs space to reorganize itself. Old beliefs dissolve, old identities shed. And that process cannot happen in noise. Destructive emotions also lose their grip here. Envy fades because comparison disappears. Anger weakens because fewer triggers are allowed access. Anxiety softens because approval is no longer required. You are not escaping people, you are escaping unconscious influence. And importantly, this stage teaches discernment. You don't cut everyone off, you simply become selective. You recognize that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. That trust must be earned. That proximity is power. This is deeply Stoic. Epictetus reminded his students to be careful about whose company they keep because character is contagious. When this wisdom becomes lived reality, you naturally reduce exposure to those who disturb your equilibrium. If you feel this quiet separation happening, understand this. It is not regression, it is refinement. You are learning to stand comfortably with yourself, without distraction, without performance, without emotional dependency. And once a person becomes at home within their own mind, they are no longer easily manipulated by the world. This is not isolation as weakness, this is solitude as strength. And from this place, a deeper discipline is forged, one that prepares you for responsibility, clarity, and a life governed from within, not controlled from without. Sign 4. You respond to life instead of reacting to it. The fourth sign is subtle, but it changes everything. At some point, you realize something fundamental has shifted inside you. Life no longer controls your emotions the way it used to. Events still happen, people still provoke, loss, disappointment, and injustice still appear. But the automatic reaction is gone. There is a pause now, and in that pause, you choose. This is one of the rarest forms of inner power. Most people live in reflex. An insult triggers anger. Delay triggers anxiety. Disrespect triggers ego. They do not decide their emotions, they obey them. But when your inner discipline matures, you stop handing your nervous system over to every external event. Epictetus stated that it is not things themselves that disturb us, but the judgments we attach to them. When this truth stops being intellectual and becomes lived experience, emotional chaos loses its authority. You begin to observe emotions instead of being swallowed by them. Anger still knocks, but it is questioned. Fear still appears, but it is examined. Desire still whispers, but it is measured. This doesn't make you passive, it makes you precise. Instead of exploding, you assess. Instead of defending your ego, you protect your values. Instead of chasing relief, you pursue alignment. The result is a calm that cannot be shaken easily because it is not dependent on comfort or control. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind becomes invincible when it refuses to be harmed by impressions. This does not mean denying emotion, it means refusing to let emotion dictate action. And this is where destructive emotions finally lose their grip. Anger no longer leads to regret. Anxiety no longer rushes you into poor decisions. Jealousy no longer poisons your focus. You may notice something else. People react more around you. When you stop reacting, it exposes how reactive the world truly is. Some will try harder to provoke you. Others will feel unsettled by your composure. A few will sense authority in your presence, even if they cannot explain why. This composure is not coldness, it is command. You are no longer seeking to win arguments, prove worth, or control outcomes. You are focused on what belongs to you, your character, your choices, your discipline. This is deeply aligned with Stoic practice. Seneca warned that uncontrolled emotion is a form of slavery. When emotion rules, freedom disappears. But when reason guides emotion, inner sovereignty is restored. And here is the most important shift. You stop wasting energy. Energy once lost to rumination, resentment, and reaction is now conserved and directed toward growth, toward clarity, toward purpose. This is why people operating at this level often seem grounded even in chaos. They are not immune to life, they are anchored within it. If you recognize this pause forming in you, this space between stimulus and response, understand its significance. This is not suppression, this is mastery. You are no longer living at the mercy of circumstances. You are living by principle. And once a person reaches this state, the world may still test them, but it can no longer control them.